Okay. Hello and good afternoon, everybody. Nice to see everyone today. My name is Jake Edmiston, and today I'm joined by my colleague Afaaz Zahid, and we work for the marine conservation organizations of Blue Marine Foundation and Maldives Resilient Reefs. And today we're going to be talking to you about our work ensuring sustainable resort coral reef fisheries in Laamu Atoll.
Apologies about that. So to give you a bit of background to the Maldives reef fisheries, traditionally this sector was dominated by tuna fisheries and very little commercial reef fishing was carried out. However, with the increase of demand for reef fish and the increase in tourism sector, there has been an increase in reef fishing. This is significant because reef fish are prone to overfishing easily as they live long and they mature very slowly in their life. Moreover, fishing specifically targeted at spawning aggregation can decimate entire reef population. Moreover, there is a lack of coral reef fisheries and governance as this sector is still very much understudied and it's expected to be growing in the future. We are based in the beautiful Laamu Atoll in the southern central side of the Maldives. Laamu has been designated as a Mission Blue hotspot as of 2021 because of its diverse mangrove, coral reefs, and seagrass ecosystems. We are in Six Senses Laamu, as you can see in the map, which have sustainability at heart. As they say on the resort, sustainability is not something which they do, it is who they are. With this, Blue Marine Foundation formed a partnership with Six Senses Laamu as of 2016, and we have been carrying out multiple conservation projects. Our work in Laamu have contributed to the first ever designation of marine protected areas in Laamu as of December 2021.
Okay, so one of our major projects that we are carrying out is the Laamu Atoll program. Now, for any non-Dhivehi speakers in the audience, Laamu Atoll is a Dhivehi term that translates to exemplary fisher in English. And the program is carried out, this innovative initiative is carried out in partnership with Six Senses Laamu, and it works with local fishing communities to ensure that the seafood that's been sourced by Six Senses Laamu has been caught in a sustainable way with minimal ecological impact on surrounding reef ecosystems. Now, the program is conducted through a code of conduct, which fishers buy into in return for, and the code of conduct stipulates various criteria. These include protected species, sustainable gear types, and minimum size limits. Now, the program has been ongoing since February 2020, and this year, on the 2-year anniversary of the program, we conducted a report, which both looked into the catch data, so the landings data, the fisheries data that's been coming in over the past 2 years, and also crucially spoke to program fishers to get their perspectives on program successes, but also where the program could be improved going forward. And I'd like to share what we found with you on that report here today. So I'm happy to say that the program was successful in ensuring that Six Senses Laamu didn't source any protected species, and this includes both nationally protected species, such as parrotfish, but also locally protected species, such as grouper, which we protected the program due to their conservation status. However, when we looked at the data, we saw that data collection had been quite sporadic. Hereby, fishers had not been always completing the required landing data when they sold fish to Six Senses Laamu. And this was really impeding the ability of our analysis to pull down and delve into some of these ecological trends. So we've been working over the past few months to really streamline this data collection process. And I'm happy to say as of July this year, 100% of fishers that sold fish to Six Senses Laamu in July completed this data in its entirety. This means we know where these fish are coming from, the fishing effort required to catch these fish, the gear type used, type of species caught, and the individual sizes of every fish sourced by the resort. We also looked at the data, as I said, and we found that some species were being brought in undersized. So we decided to embrace a precautionary management approach and remove these species from the programming purchasing list to the no-take species list until we get further information about the health of these stocks to inform more longer-term management. And as I said, crucially, we spoke to fishers who were part of the program. On the whole, they were very happy with how the program is progressing. However, they indicated a desire to learn more about sustainable fishing. So in that regard, in that vein, we are developing educational materials which will really lay the foundations for the Laamu Atoll program and improve the fishers' understanding of sustainable fishing practices and why this is so important. And we also decided to move the biannual fisher meetings, so these are meetings when all the fishers come together, talk about the program and where it could improve, from a biannual basis, so 2 times a year, to a quarterly basis. This is to improve and increase the level of participation of the program, fisher buy-in, and enable the program to be flexible to any changing fisher perspectives.
So the second project which we are conducting in Sixth Senses Laamu is getting a baseline understanding of the resort recreational fishing activities. So recreational fishing is very popular and is conducted throughout almost all the resorts in the Maldives. More importantly, there is no baseline understanding the impact this have on the coral reef fish across the Maldives, and there's a lack of regulation to govern this fishery, with the sector expected to grow in the future. Hence, the research which we are conducting here in Sixth Senses Laamu is getting a baseline understanding for future adaptive management. Sixth Senses Laamu already were practicing sustainable fishing with their strong connection to sustainability. As you can see from the map, the sunset trips goes out inside the atoll, mainly using hand lines. So hand lines, they use just a baited hook with a sinker on it, catch mainly reef fish. And the sunrise trip which goes out from Sixth Senses Laamu, they go outside the atoll. They use mainly trawling techniques to target pelagic and semi-pelagic species of fish. And these sunrise trips are mostly pride trips. So far in Sixth Senses Laamu, we have surveyed 66 trips comprising of 204 guests, and a total of 227 fish have been measured, from which 46 have been released due to whether they have been undersized or they might have been a protected species, whether nationally or locally. And this data collection is still ongoing.
So I'd like to share with you today some preliminary findings from our research. And as Afaaz has said, we found that the sunrise fishing trips indicated greatest fishing intensity across the outside of the atoll, as you can see from the blue on the heat map out here. For these sunset fishing trips, indicated that they were going out both inside the atoll, as you can see by the orange heat map, but also were going on the outside of the atoll as well. And this is most likely due to calm sea states, so calm sea conditions, making it comfortable to go out and use hand lines to catch reef fish on a stationary boat. So these sunset trips, which go out and they use these handline techniques, are catching reef fish, as we expected, with the top 3 species caught being humpback red snapper, 2-spot red snapper, and pink-ear emperor. With these sunrise trips going out using these trolling techniques, and they're catching, as we thought, these semi-pelagic and pelagic species, with the top 3 species being caught of wahoo, great barracuda, and yellowfin tuna. So we also looked at the sizes that these species are being caught. And happily enough, species are being generally landed above their minimum length of maturity. If we look at the graphs on the right-hand side of the slide, these 3 graphs here delineate the top 3 species caught. So the species that were caught in the highest frequency during our data collection. And you can see on the whole, these species are being landed above the red line, and this red line delineates the size that these species are mature. So as we're going forward, as we're going to be collecting more data on this fishery, we're going to be able to create more size frequency distributions like the ones you can see here on all the fish, or most of the fish that are being landed through these recreational fishing trips. When we zoom out and we look at this fishery in its entirety, we can see that 84% of all species that were landed were at a mature size, which is very encouraging. And there was no difference between sunrise and sunset fishing trips in terms of the size that these fish are being caught. So finally, we also looked at the number of fish being caught per guest on every trip. And this is very interesting. We see averagely, guests are catching 1 fish per trip, which looks sustainable. However, this relationship is actually a little bit more nuanced if you look at these graphs in a little bit more detail. If we look at the sunset box plot, we can see that some of these outliers are indicating that on some trips, such as the one at the top of the box plot, we can see that guests went out and they caught 7.5 fish each. And this average is being brought down by times where guests have gone out and they've caught no fish at all. We're also seeing that we're getting a lot more data on the sunrise trips as opposed to the sunset trips. And this is due to these sunrise trips being much more popular with Sixth Sense's Laamu guests. So we'll be just naturally collecting more data on these trips. But as I say, this is an ongoing data collection, this is ongoing research. So as we collect more data, we're going to be really able to flesh out these ecological trends. Okay, so what are our next steps? So we're aiming to establish a resort recreational fishing code of conduct, which won't only have relevance for resort recreational fishing at Sixth Sense's Laamu, but will also have relevance for all resorts across the Maldives who are conducting these fishing activities to enable us to start effectively managing this burgeoning fisheries sector. We're going to be coupling this with the rollout, the national rollout of the Laamu Atoll Mass Varia program across the Maldives. The Laamu Atoll Mass Varia program is creating a local and sustainable marketplace for reef fish, which embraces participatory co-management and really views fishers not as the problem to overfishing, but more central to the solution. Blue Marine Foundation and Maldives Resilient Reefs are aiming to create a tourism industry interested in traceable and transparent seafood sourcing for the benefit of people, businesses, and the environment. And we're interested to talk to any tourism operators in the audience today or online who'd be interested in joining us on this vision. Thank you very much for your time, and we'd like to welcome any questions.